Welcome to Pro Practice, your guide to piano mastery. I'm Josh Wright, and today's episode is based on a lesser-known work by Frédéric Chopin, the Cantabile in B-flat major, published posthumously in 1931, originally written in 1834 in Paris. Before we get onto the tutorial section of this video, I thought I would just go ahead and play through it in case any of you are not familiar with this piece. I didn't know this piece before one of our Pro Practice Lifetime Access members, Faris, requested it. And since I have a goal this year of covering more beginner and intermediate repertoire, I thought this would be the perfect fit for our next Pro Practice video. Because we're lucky enough to have that manuscript on imslp.org, I would encourage all of you to go look at that. I believe Chopin wrote a fermata beneath the last note, so feel free to hold that. I played that in a fairly traditional way. You could infuse that with a lot more rubato. Generally, the rule that I tell my students, and this is Josh Wright's rule, this is not a hard, fast rule, this is just something I enjoy, is if you want a beautiful lyrical piece to sound more just elegant and straightforward and kind of contemplative, you can take a slightly slower tempo. Or if you want to have it be a little bit more seductive and draw the audience in and maybe feel a bit more personalized to your personal rubato taste, the pushing and pulling of time is what I'm referring to when I say rubato. The slightly faster tempo with more rubato seems to work quite well. So just this slightly faster tempo. And I'm really bringing out those counter lines. You don't have to. The audience is going to hear them. If you like a little more subtle, I just love hearing that gorgeous chromaticism, which Chopin is so well known for. And one thing I didn't do the first time through, I didn't resolve this as much as I liked. Make sure it's not, you don't smack it. I mean, I didn't do it like that, but. Okay. Faris, I hope you enjoy this beautiful work in the form of this tutorial. I hope I can do it justice for you. I've had a lot of experience playing Chopin's works, but it's always wonderful to kind of uncover a little gem. I really love this piece. I hadn't ever explored it until just a couple of weeks ago when he asked me about it. And this presents a unique opportunity, I think, for late beginners or early intermediate students to explore the music of Chopin. Chopin wrote so many demonically difficult works, his etudes, ballades, scherzi, polonaises, mazurkas. There are a couple little waltzes, like the waltz in A minor, also published posthumously. a couple of the preludes that might be accessible, but there's not a whole lot technically that is accessible for late beginners or early intermediate students. I do think this fits that bill. So I think this would be a good first Chopin piece. Maybe the Waltz in A minor would be a good piece. This is a good piece if you're just wanting to learn notes. That piece is very hard to hold together musically and make long phrases. That's the Prelude number 4, in case you're not familiar with that. Very famous Chopin work. But anytime I get a chance to give students the music of Chopin, I take that opportunity because it teaches them so much that can help them in so many other areas. Even if we're not stretching the rubato like we do in Chopin's music in the works of Bach, teaching students expression through the music of Chopin will teach them more about Bach, and vice versa. Learning contrapuntal works will certainly help you in the music of Chopin. So in the Fourth Ballade, that is definitely hearkening back to the beautiful contrapuntal writing of Bach. Okay, now that we have a little bit of a taste of style and what this piece can really do for different levels of students, and by the way, I could easily see a professional programming this on their program. Obviously, it wouldn't be a significant part of that program because it's so short, 14 bars long. But nonetheless, it is so gorgeous. And there is a double bar line at the end. I don't think this is just my opinion, but it doesn't strike me as just some random sketch that he may have used in another piece. It could have been that maybe he never intended for this to be published and just, oh, that was going to be an idea for one of my concerti, but I didn't want to use it. Sure, that could be, or a mini nocturne or a little mazurka type piece. Anyway, so let's get to it with some basics. Let's go over some fingering. I want to cover all the basics here. So we'll cover fingering, we'll cover counting, pedaling, and then we'll spend a heavy amount of time halfway through the video and towards the end on expression and how to take time addressing the ornaments, how to create variety in your phrases. This is obviously a very short piece, but there's a lot to cover. So let's just go over the basics with fingering. 4, 5, 4, and then usually this is referred to as a trillo or an upper mordant. So most people that I've heard play this just traditionally like that. I'm tempted, and I didn't want to do this in the first rendering to get a bunch of flack from purists, but I think a 4-note ornament sounds better there because it makes a stronger line, dee-da-da-dum. And it also sounds a little more fanciful. I remember Sergei Babayan always saying, if you can fit more revolutions of a trill in, generally that will sound more graceful, more elegant, more professional in many ways. Not every instance, obviously, but that sounds more pleasing to my ears. To me, that's kind of weird, jumping down to A, but it totally works. I mean, it's beautiful, but... So, all right, 5, 4. I personally like a 2-1-2-1 trill, and then crossing over to a 2-1, and then 3 or 2. Substitute to a 1 so that you can connect it up to here. 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 1, 2, 4. And then I personally like 3, 1, 1. So just slide there, 1, 1. 5, 4, 2, and then I switch to a 3 so I can connect it into this phrase. Now, you do see ends of phrases. You could interpret those as physically lifting the hand or the end of a musical idea or both. Okay, so... So that's fine. Or if you want to connect it to there. That did not sound any less end of phrase like in my ears. So that is something to keep in mind. Okay, left hand fingering. Let's just take that first phrase, those first 4 bars. Okay, so... I like to use, personally, an open fingering, 5-3-2, 3-2-1. So you can just use a little bit of rotation. See, I'm in this position, and then I just use my wrist and my arm to come forward a little and play that. 5, 2, 2, 1. I always go down to a 5 personally. 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. 5, 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. 5, 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 2, 1. 5, 3, 1. 5, 3, 1. 4, 3, 1. 5, 3, 1. 5, 3, 1. Now this is up to you. If you want to prepare and get a little close to that B flat coming up, you could use a 2, 1, or you could just do what falls onto the hand there, 4, 2. You're gonna have plenty of time to get down to that 5. Okay? So that gives you a little bit of a taste with fingering. And by the way, on that trill, or upper mordant, whatever you want to call it, I like to stay down in the keys. This piano, the A is a little harsh right now. I could have my technician voice that down a little. So I'm just having to be a little bit more careful than usual on that note. And you'll notice weird quirks like that on every piano you play. It's going to be different. See, that one's a little easier. That one I've got to focus a little bit more. So I'm just thinking of staying real close down in the keys and rocking back and forth a little bit. So I have wrist action going on, and I also have finger action going on. So that was not good. Okay, and that was very careless at the beginning. I like to start out. Or you could get softer to there, then come in louder there. We're going to go over a lot of that later, just giving you a little taste of it right now. All right, next, let's go over counting.